Grief is a strange, quiet place. When you're inside it, the rest of the world feels far away, muted colors, hushed sounds, like everything's behind thick glass. In that place, the only thing that holds you together is your family. You expect them to be the ones who keep you grounded when you're drowning in sorrow. But what do you do when the people you trust most decide that your pain is inconvenient? When they choose balloons and cake over saying goodbye to the man you loved? That's what happened to me. My family chose to go to my sister's party instead of attending my husband's funeral. They thought they were just missing an uncomfortable afternoon. What they didn't realize was that Liam, my husband, had seen their true nature long before I did. And what none of them could have known was that in his final, loving gesture, he had hidden a bomb in the legal language of his will. A quiet, devastating act that would take from them everything they valued most. Liam was my everything. Saying that feels like a cliché, but it's as true as anything I've ever said. We met in a bustling little coffee shop when he accidentally spilled his drink on my book. He was sharp, funny, and had a calm warmth that wrapped around you like a soft blanket. An architect by profession, he designed homes for a living, but the most beautiful thing he ever built was our life together. He understood me in a way no one else ever had. My love of quiet spaces, my passion for books, my need for simplicity, he embraced all of it. With him, I was completely at peace. My family never truly accepted him, not because he wasn't good enough, but because he didn't fit into their noisy, self-centered world. My parents and older sister Chloe are the type of people who take up every room they walk into. Everything is always big and loud and about them. Chloe has always been the sun in our family, and we've all been made to revolve around her. She's a glamorous, high-powered event planner, beautiful, confident, and constantly in the spotlight. My parents adored her. Every small accomplishment was treated like breaking news. I, on the other hand, was the quiet one, the stable one, the one who didn't cause problems to them. Liam was always polite, always civil, but they never made him feel like he belonged. He didn't engage in their chaos, didn't compete for attention. That made him invisible in their eyes. At every family dinner, I'd be cut off mid-sentence. They'd glaze over when I talked about my job as a librarian. Chloe always had the stage. Liam noticed it all. He never confronted them, but afterward, he'd hold me and whisper, "I see you, Ames. I always see you." He made me feel like I mattered in a world where my family made me feel like background noise. Our shared home, the Cove, was a sprawling coastal estate passed down through Liam's family. It had a grand main house where we lived, a cozy guest cottage, a small dock, and acres of untouched forest. It was our haven, but to my family, it was a giant dollar sign. My father joked about turning it into a residential complex. Chloe gushed about how perfect it would be for luxury weddings, a new arm of her business. Their obsession with its value was always simmering under the surface. Liam hated it. "They don't see it as our home," he once said bitterly. "They see it as a missed opportunity." Then everything changed. A drunk driver ran a red light. One phone call later, and Liam was gone. Just like that, the world around me collapsed. The grief was like a tidal wave, heavy, relentless, suffocating. The days after were a blur of logistics and aching emptiness. My family came, of course, but they weren't really there. My mom busied herself cleaning things that didn't need cleaning. My dad said awkward, hollow things. Chloe spent most of her time on her phone planning a gala, her high-pitched voice out of place in our house full of grief. They didn't know how to deal with quiet sadness. They only knew how to move fast and loud. I was too still for them, too broken. The funeral was set for Saturday, a day to honor the gentle man I'd lost. The day before, they sat me down in the very living room Liam had designed, the room full of his spirit. "Amelia," my mom began in her soft, rehearsed tone, "we need to talk about tomorrow." "What about it?" I asked, my voice brittle from crying. "Well," Chloe cut in, always the project manager, "Sunday is my 30th, as you know, and we planned the big bash for Saturday night. Caterers, band, venue, it's all locked in. 150 guests. Canceling would be a disaster." I blinked at them. I couldn't process what I was hearing. "You want to throw a party on the day of my husband's funeral?" "It's unfortunate timing, we know," my dad offered, "but it's Chloe's milestone birthday. We can't exactly move it." Chloe smiled like it was a problem she'd solved. "The funeral's at 11. The party's not until 8. We'll be there for you, and then we'll go." The casual tone, The absolute disregard. As if saying goodbye to Liam was just another appointment. I felt sick. I don't get it, I whispered. How can you think about celebrating right now? That's when my mom dropped the line I'll never forget. Sweetheart, she said, placing her hand on mine like she was about to scold a child. You can't expect the world to stop. You're being a little dramatic. Liam wouldn't want us to sit around mourning. He'd want us to celebrate life. Dramatic. That's what she called my heartbreak. They weren't just downplaying my pain, they were judging it, telling me to shrink it down, make it easier for them to deal with. My grief didn't fit into their plans. I need you there, I said softly. I need my family. We'll be at the funeral, Chloe snapped. But I'm not canceling my birthday. That's not fair. And just like that, she made it about her. Liam's death was an inconvenience, a snag in her itinerary. I looked at my parents, silently begging them to stop this, to say something, but they just looked at Chloe with understanding. I'd lost. Again. Fine, I said. Go to your party. I left the room without another word. The next morning, they showed up dressed in black, eyes glassy, faces solemn. My mother dabbed at her eyes with a lace handkerchief. My father stood stiff and unreadable. Chloe wore a sleek black dress and designer heels, looking like she was attending a red carpet memorial. They took their places in the front row. They hugged me, whispered sympathetic nonsense, acted like we were still one family united in grief. But I knew better. After the service, there was a modest gathering at the house. I waited for them to join me. They didn't. They said they had to get ready, and I knew exactly what for. That night, they'd be drinking champagne, dancing under fairy lights, celebrating as if nothing had happened. As if Liam had been just a blip on the radar, a name to cross off before cake and music. That night, I sat in the dark, alone, in the house Liam had built with his hands and heart. I held a photo of him to my chest and cried until I couldn't breathe. The music from their party might as well have been thunder in the distance. I imagined them laughing, posing for selfies, clinking glasses. It wasn't just grief I felt, it was betrayal. Not only had I lost my husband, but I realized I'd never truly had the family I thought I did. For the next 2 weeks, I drifted through life. I barely touched food. My body moved, but I wasn't there. Then one afternoon, I got a call. Liam's lawyer, Mr. Davis, a gentle, white-haired man who had been Liam's legal advisor for years, told me it was time to go over the will. His voice was kind, patient. Would you like your family present for the reading? He asked. Once, I would have answered yes without hesitation. Now, I felt a cold weight settle in my stomach, but I knew they expected to be there. And I knew why. They hadn't just come to mourn Liam, they were circling, waiting. Because Liam's estate was significant, and one property in particular, our beloved Cove, was worth millions. So, I agreed. The morning of the will reading, they all arrived at the lawyer's office as a group. They looked the part again, dignified, composed, grieving. Chloe handed me a coffee like it was a peace offering. The gesture felt hollow. We sat in a richly decorated office, wood-paneled walls and shelves lined with books. The tension was thick. I could see the calculation in their eyes. They thought they knew what was coming. They assumed that, being his wife, everything would come to me. But they also assumed they would be involved, named as executors or trustees, given some level of control, especially over the Cove. They had no idea what was about to happen. Mr. Davis adjusted his glasses and opened a folder. Liam loved you very much, Amelia, he said to me gently. Then he turned to the rest of the room, his face becoming more formal. This is the last will and testament of Mr. Liam Harrison. He began reading. The usual things were addressed first: our savings, the house, insurance policies, all left to me as expected. My family listened politely, waiting. They believed their turn was next. Then came the part that truly mattered to them, the business holdings. Now, Mr. Davis said, turning a page, we come to the matter of the properties and assets under Harrison Development, including the Cove. I saw my father lean forward slightly. Chloe straightened her posture. Their eyes gleamed. This was the part they had been waiting for. Liam was explicit in his wishes for the Cove, Mr. Davis continued. He wanted it managed by someone who understood its significance, someone who would protect its legacy. Chloe smiled. She believed her moment had arrived, that Liam had finally acknowledged her business talent. Then Mr. Davis dropped the bomb. To that end, he said, Liam placed full control of Harrison Development, including the Cove, into a trust. The trust is to be managed by a single trustee, with complete authority over all decisions regarding its management, sale, or development. That trustee is Amelia. The room went silent. Chloe's confident smirk disappeared. My father blinked in disbelief. My mother looked stunned. They had expected to be named at the very least co-managers. They couldn't comprehend what had just happened, but that wasn't the end. That was just the spark. Mr. Davis continued. There is also an addendum to the trust, what Mr. Harrison called the family clause. It is to be read only if certain family members are present. He picked up a sealed envelope. My stomach clenched. I hadn't known about this part. He broke the seal and unfolded a single sheet of paper. Because you are all here, he said, I am legally required to read it aloud. The words were, from Liam, written months before his death, to the Miller family. Mr. Davis began, if you are hearing this, you've chosen to attend the reading of my will. No doubt you came hoping for some reward for being related to my wife. Over the past decade, I've seen your love of wealth, your need for status, and your disregard for anyone who doesn't serve those desires. My family began to squirm. I've watched you dismiss Amelia's thoughts, ignore her passions, and belittle her achievements. You have taken advantage of her loyalty and humility. But I saw her. I saw the woman she truly is. And I saw you. I saw what you really are. My father flushed. Chloe's jaw tightened. My mother sat still, eyes blank. I've always known that if I died, your grief would be shallow, your concern selfish. So, I created a test. I asked Mr. Davis to quietly record the date of my funeral. I also asked him to confirm whether any significant events were planned by the Miller family on that day. If he found that a celebration, specifically Chloe Miller's birthday party, was held on the same day, and that the Millers chose to attend it, then the following conditions are to be put into effect immediately. The atmosphere shifted. My family's expressions turned from shock to horror. Mr. Davis looked up from the paper. Liam's funeral was held on Saturday, October 14th. A 30th birthday party for Miss Chloe Miller took place that evening. Mr. and Mrs. Miller and Miss Miller were all in attendance. It was a verdict. Chloe gasped. This is ridiculous. He can't do this. Mr. Davis ignored her. He returned to the letter. Condition 1. The Miller family is hereby and permanently banned from entering the Cove. Any presence on the property will be considered trespassing. My trustee, Amelia, is instructed to pursue legal action in such a case. The dream of Chloe's luxury wedding venue was over. My father's vision of high-end housing? Gone. Condition 2. Mr. Davis read on. Robert Miller is a partner in an investment firm that Harrison Development holds substantial shares in. As of today, Amelia is to immediately withdraw all investments. My father choked. I knew how crucial Liam's investment had been to his struggling firm. Without it, he was finished. Condition 3. Chloe Miller's company currently holds the exclusive contract for all corporate events hosted by my firm's largest clients. That contract is to be canceled immediately. Amelia is to find a new partner. Chloe looked like she was about to cry. And finally, Mr. Davis continued. Elena Miller has served as board chair for the City Children's Fund. I have been its largest anonymous donor. Amelia is to stop all donations immediately. A letter I wrote explaining the reason for this change is to be delivered to the board. My mother's lips parted in shock. That role had been her social throne, and now the funding would vanish. The crown stripped. Mr. Davis folded the paper and placed it gently on his desk. Liam hadn't just written a will. He had orchestrated a reckoning. He had taken away the things they cared most about: money, power, image, and left them with nothing but their shame. The silence that filled Mr. Davis's office after the reading was dense, like smoke hanging in the air after an explosion. My family sat frozen in their seats, struggling to comprehend the scale of what had just happened. My father's face turned red, the flush rising from his neck to his ears. Chloe looked like she'd been slapped. My mother dabbed at her eyes again, but this time it was with real tears, not of grief, but of disbelief and humiliation. Mr. Davis sat calmly behind his polished desk, letting Liam's words settle in their hearts like stones. I stared straight ahead, my own emotions roiling beneath my skin. Part of me was numb, another part wanted to cry, but most of me, I felt something I hadn't in weeks, something like justice. Finally, my father found his voice. This is absurd, he snapped. turning to Mr. Davis. He wasn't in his right mind when he wrote this. He must have been manipulated. Mr. Davis didn't flinch. Mr. Harrison underwent a full psychological assessment 2 months before his death, he said with quiet authority. He was determined to be of completely sound mind. I have the documentation. My father's mouth opened, then closed again. Chloe leaned forward, her voice shaking with outrage. He must have been influenced by her. She gestured at me like I was a con artist, not a grieving widow. He couldn't have come up with this himself. It's cruel. You're mistaken, Mr. Davis said, his voice calm but final. Mr. Harrison spent nearly a year crafting this will. Every detail was his. Every clause was written to be both legally sound and morally clear. He made it very evident this wasn't about cruelty. It was about consequences. They all turned to me then, 3 pairs of eyes now filled not with pity, but panic. I had been the quiet one, the accommodating one, the one who didn't push back. But now I held everything they had once wanted in the palm of my hand, and they knew it. My mother tried a different approach. Amelia, sweetheart, she said softly, her voice trembling. Surely, you wouldn't let this stand? We're your family. I looked at her, really looked at her, at the woman who had asked me to suppress my grief because it was inconvenient. The woman who had comforted my sister more than me on the day I buried my husband. And in that moment, I knew she didn't see me. She never had. You should have thought of that, I said, my voice low and even, on the day of Liam's funeral. When you chose to prioritize a party over supporting me. My father rose from his seat, anger bubbling again. You're making a mistake. We can fight this. You're welcome to try, Mr. Davis interjected. But you won't win. Mr. Harrison's instructions are airtight, and unless Amelia chooses to change the terms, there is nothing any of you can do. The power in that sentence landed like a thunderclap. My father turned to me again. Change it, Amelia. Don't let one man's bitterness tear our family apart. Liam wasn't bitter, I replied. He was tired of watching you treat me like I didn't matter. This isn't just his revenge, it's my freedom. I stood up. My hands weren't trembling. My knees didn't shake. Mr. Davis, please begin executing the terms today. Start with the financial withdrawal from my father's firm. Then contact Chloe's clients and inform them that the contract has ended. As for the letter to the hospital board, send it first thing tomorrow. Mr. Davis nodded. Of course, Mrs. Harrison. I didn't look back as I left the room. Let them sit there drowning in the consequences of their own actions. They had treated Liam like a passing stranger and treated me like a footnote in their lives. Now they would feel what it was like to be invisible, to be dismissed. And I wasn't finished yet. The following weeks passed in a blur, but this time, I wasn't just surviving. I was moving forward. My father's firm collapsed quickly, without Harrison Development's investment. His partners abandoned ship. His clients followed. Within 2 months, he'd filed for bankruptcy. Chloe's company went into free fall. Losing the exclusive contract meant losing credibility. One client pulled out, then another. Her staff began to leave, and whispers started circulating in the event planning world, rumors of her failure, of her arrogance. She tried to salvage her reputation, but it was like trying to plug a dam with a paper towel. My mother, oh, how she clung to her charity board seat. She begged for donors to step in, but Liam's contributions had been massive, consistent, and anonymous. When they vanished overnight, the board saw the writing on the wall. My mother was asked gently but firmly to resign. None of them saw it coming. They thought their status, their wealth, their name would protect them. But Liam had taken every step with surgical precision. He knew what each of them valued most, and he took it away, not out of vengeance, but out of love for me. They called, of course, dozens of times. They sent letters, emails, some filled with anger, others dripping with false remorse. I didn't respond. I didn't have to. I didn't need their guilt, their apologies, or their explanations, because I had something far more powerful: closure. I spent the weeks that followed in silence, but not the kind born from sorrow. This silence was steady, solid. It was the sound of rebuilding. With Liam gone, I had expected to feel lost, adrift without my anchor. But instead, I found a strange, new strength rising from somewhere deep inside me. I had spent years making myself smaller to accommodate others. Now, for the first time, I was allowed to take up space. I officially took over Harrison Development and, with Mr. Davis's guidance, began to familiarize myself with every corner of the business. Liam had prepared everything, as if he knew I would one day need to step into his shoes. He had left behind a series of private notes folders labeled with my name, organized instructions, even video messages. In each one, his voice was gentle and reassuring. He believed in me, even when I hadn't believed in myself. "I know you can do this," he said in one message, sitting in his favorite armchair by the window. "You've always had the mind for it. You just needed someone to tell you it's okay to lead." So I did. I started with the Cove. I rejected the offers that began flooding in the moment the news hit that I was the sole trustee. Developers, resort chains, real estate giants, they all wanted a piece of it. But they never saw what it really was. They saw beachfront property and profit margins. I saw memories. I saw quiet walks in the woods, Liam drawing plans under the old oak tree, the way the sunset lit up the water when we sat on the dock with our feet in the lake. I turned the Cove into a nature preserve, protected by law. No one could develop on it. No condos, no wedding venues, no vacation homes. I hired a small team of conservationists to manage the land and opened the trails to the public for free. It became a sanctuary not just for me, but for anyone who needed peace. Just as Liam had intended, I also created a foundation in his name, the Harrison Grant, for underprivileged students who wanted to study architecture. It provided tuition, mentorship, and even internships at the firm. I met the first group of scholarship recipients on a warm spring afternoon. Some were nervous, some were beaming. All of them reminded me of Liam in some way, curious, kind, and eager to build something that would last. Meanwhile, my family unraveled. My father's firm never recovered from the loss of its largest investor. He tried to blame the market, the economy, anyone but himself. But everyone knew. Investors talk. His name lost credibility. Clients disappeared. Chloe's business collapsed. Under the weight of gossip and financial ruin, her desperate rebranding efforts didn't work. No one wanted to risk hiring her. Her fall from grace was public, swift, and merciless. She tried to paint me as vindictive, but the truth was, people had long seen the arrogance behind her charm. She had finally run out of places to hide it. My mother's fall was quieter, more tragic in a way. Without the charity board, she lost the thing that gave her social standing. Her circle shrank. Invitations stopped coming. Her phone stopped ringing. She tried to reach out to me several times, voicemails, handwritten letters, but I never responded. I had nothing left to say. One morning, months later, I received a package. It was from Mr. Davis. Inside was a final letter from Liam. It had been sealed, marked only to be delivered once she's free. I sat on the porch of the main house and opened it with trembling hands. His handwriting was neat, calm, familiar. "My dearest Amelia," it began. "If you're reading this, then everything has happened the way I hoped it would. You're standing. You're strong. You're free. I know this wasn't the life you imagined. It wasn't the ending I wanted either. But if I had to leave, I wanted to leave you with something more than grief. I wanted to leave you with power, peace, and a mirror that shows you the woman I always saw." I cried then, not from sorrow, but from love so fierce it filled every crack in my heart. "You were never small, Amelia. You were never weak. They just convinced you to believe that. Now you know better. Now they do too." I held that letter to my chest as the sun rose over the water. The light touched the trees, the dock, the quiet lake. It was our place again, mine now. And I wasn't alone. I never spoke to my family again. They faded from my life like background noise turned off. For good. I didn't need revenge. I had something far more satisfying. A life on my terms, a future forged in quiet strength, and the memory of a man who loved me enough to build an empire just to pass me the crown. And every time I walk the trails of the Cove, hear the rustle of the trees, or stand on the dock with my toes in the water, I feel him there, his hand in mine, steady and warm. Liam gave me more than his legacy. He gave me myself.